Hi Vic, Simon Drew here, giving you my proposal for our assignment. Give you a bit of background about myself. I'm one of the operations manager that works for an organisation called Southern Cross Care. Southern Cross Care operate within the aged care industry, and we have three main portfolios. One is our residential branch, the other being our community branch, and we also have a property portfolio as well. For the purpose of this assignment, I'm solely focusing on our residential branch. The aged care industry is experiencing some rapid growth at the moment. This is largely due to the ageing population and the bottleneck that's occurring with the baby boomers. Now, with this rapid growth, we're experiencing a new era in terms of competition. That competition coming in the face of private equities. They recognise that there is money to be made in the aged care industry, and shareholders are likely to get good returns with their dividends. So I'm going to be looking at this problem in the context of non-for-profits and for-profits, and I'll be exploring the industry as a whole, as well as Southern Cross Care and our internal strategy in response to the increased demographic and increased demand as well. What is the problem that Southern Cross Care has? Our problem is actually a good one. It's what do we actually do with quite large cash reserves and actually having no debt as well. So in effect, I'm going to be looking at an investment decision. What should Southern Cross Care buy, or what should we do with our cash? In effect, are we going to just let the cash sit there and in a term deposit, or are we going to be looking at some investment strategies? So what is the best way to raise cash and fund an asset, that asset being building a brand new aged care facility? And with regards to that, what would be the best mix of debt versus equity? So it is actually looking at that financial decision. What is the methodology that I'm going to employ? I'm going to have two scenarios. Each will have their own financial instruments with which to explore the scenarios. So scenario one, leave the cash in the bank, do nothing. Okay, have a look at it in the context of a term deposit at say 1.5%. I can have a look at a future value analysis. I can do that looking at both simple and compound interest, and from that I can do a PV analysis. What is the benefit of this scenario? It has no risk associated with it, high degree of liquidity, and a very flexible arrangement as well. But is it actually maximising our cash reserves? And is it maximising our cash reserves in the context of our mission, which is to deliver contemporary and good quality care? Scenario two is a finance project, and that being building a brand new aged care facility. It's going to be a capital budgeting scenario and looking at the forecasting of cash flows. I'll have a look at the discount rate, and I'll do that in the context of both non-for-profit and for-profit organisations. I can explore both the payback period, I can have a look at an NPV analysis, and I can even have a look at the internal rate of return to assess the viability of the project as well. With time and expertise permitting, I may have a look at the social return on investment as well. What's the benefit of this scenario? It's likely to have an increased return. It's likely to maximise our cash reserves. However, it comes with a degree of risk. So with that risk, we want a greater level of return. So that will take me down the avenue of exploring the betas in the context of the market. I can have a look at that with both for-profits, non-for-profits, and of course those private equities. As part of the asset pricing model, I'll have a look at the CAPM. But in effect, I need to look at how to actually structure this finance. What is the right balance of debt versus equity? So that will have me exploring the WACC. In terms of result and likely result, or a null hypotheses, with regards to both of those scenarios, it's looking at the opportunity cost, and I suspect that it's about building new facilities. It's about maximising that cash return in order to drive our primary goal, which is to deliver good contemporary care to older Australians. So who does this affect, and what is that real world application? Well, it's looking at Southern Cross Care internally, but it's also looking at it from the broad perspective of viability of residential aged care providers providers. With that increased demand and demographic growth, we have increased income asset testing for our residents, but with that becomes a higher degree of expectations. And this is also with the background of an increase in prevalence of chronic disease and the challenges of delivering contemporary care with increased frailty of the elderly. So how can the industry respond to these demands and these pressures? And how can Southern Cross Care do this with decreased government funding and also tighter regulations as well? Thank you.